Well, the aftermath of the unexpected death of former Ellen Show DJ Stephen Twitch Boss has been filled with more open talks about suicide and mental health. In today's Health Watch, Tearsa Smith sits down with a psychologist who dispels some of the myths about suicide.
Joining us right now is Maggie Klotz, who is a psychologist who feels very passionate about getting the word out about suicide and ways to help those who are struggling. So first, let's just talk about, why is suicide not a choice in terms of I shouldn't do this or I should do this for somebody who's suffering?
When someone is, really depressed or suffering in that way, sometimes suicide becomes such an, option that it feels like there really isn't a choice that they feel like they need to make. There's something, oftentimes chemically going on in their brain, and they get to a point where they feel like there is no other option, but they need to escape that pain somehow. And that's when suicide really becomes what feels like sometimes the only option.
So for people like us who have loved ones and friends and family, if this happens, it's not a matter of, oh, their life seemed perfect. They may not see their life in that moment like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think a conversation is happening right now, which is an important one, of, if someone were to have a terminal illness or have cancer, we don't say, oh, why did you make that choice to leave us, right?
It's not a choice.
It's not a choice.
What can we do if we have a loved one or a coworker, anything, who you kind of suspect maybe something's going on?
Absolutely.
What do we do?
Yes, if you feel like you're seeing some signs, pay attention to those. And I always say, don't be afraid to ask the question, and ask it directly. And so a lot of times people haven't had ever asked the question before, and so really saying, are you having thoughts of suicide? Are you thinking of killing yourself? If you're watching this now, say the words out loud, because it can feel really kind of scary to ask that question. People a lot of times have a fear that if someone wasn't already thinking about suicide and I ask them about it, then all of a sudden they're going to think about it. And that's not true. Actually, a lot of times opening that door to be able to talk about it feels relieving to that person. And
but be direct. Be direct when you ask that question.
Be direct, yes. Try and ask it in a very open way of, are you having suicidal thoughts?
Maggie, thank you so much for talking to us and getting the word out there.
Absolutely. Thank you.